Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is T and you're watching TokYo-Yo. Recently, I've started a partnership with Yoyo Store Rewind, so please make sure you go and check out their channel. I'll have a link right up here. And let's get into today's video. So we're going to be talking about a yo-yo that's pretty popular right now. A lot of people are talking about it. I've heard only good things about it from everybody. Let's see if all that good word of mouth is warranted or not. Today we're going to be talking about the iYoYo iCEBERG. So are you going to want to give this yo-yo the cold shoulder? Or is it going to melt our cold and icy hearts? So, as you can see, the iCEBERG is a very nice H shape here. It's very similar to the iYoYo steel. You've got a flared shape that goes out from the gap and then takes a sharp upturn here to the rim. Got a little tiny ridge right before the stainless steel rim. The cup is very open. You can see here from the rim into the center, it's quite open, and in the center you have this very nice aluminum fingerspin catch zone. You also have the engraving here of iCEBERG, the iYoYo mantra, which is the iYoYo Dine Yoyo. The material is machined polycarbonate that is frosted. It's very nice. There's lots of little cuts in here, but everything is machined, so it's quite smooth and beautiful looking. It's also translucent, so as you can see the string and your fingers through it. It's very cool looking. And then the rim material is stainless steel, so you've got quite a big weight differential here between the two materials. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The feeling is extremely comfortable. It does feel very similar to the steel in the hand, and the look, as I mentioned in the material section, this thing just looks really crazy. There's a few different colors. I really liked this one because it just looked very icebergy to me with the kind of cold dark blue and then the frosted white as well. But the look overall is just gorgeous. I mean, from all the machined cuts in here, there you can see the rim and the polycarbonate body meet seamlessly. There's just no sense of a shift in shape here. The center is very minimalistic. The logos are absolutely gorgeous. And this brushed aluminum spot where you have your fingerspin catch zone is just beautiful as well. It's just really a perfect, flawless looking yo-yo. And that's one thing that iYoYo is really good at, is their design is completely on point. Okay, so let's get into history of the iYoYo iCEBERG. So this yo-yo has actually been prototyped for a long time. The very first time I ever saw this thing was at the Tokyo Nationals contest earlier this year, and the design was pretty similar, but one of the big differences was this fingerspin catch zone was a little bit more dimpled inside. It was a similar fingerspin catch zone design to what the Kickstart Pro looks like. It has that same similar kind of sharp drop inside, but they've kind of smoothed it out with this version and made that a little more bowl shaped, which I think works with the design of the yo-yo quite well. I'm not sure how quickly the prototype run sold out, but the first run of this that came out recently sold really quickly. So when the second run was released, I knew I had to jump on it because there wouldn't be too long to wait before it'd be sold out again. As I mentioned briefly in the first section, this is based on the iYoYo steel, which is a bimetal in the iYoYo line with a 6061 body and the stainless steel rims. This is based on that in shape and design and theory. Considering that the iCEBERG is based on the steel, I really don't think they play that similarly at all, but I do feel like if you do like the steel, you're going to like the iCEBERG. So we'll get into more of that in playability. But it is really cool because the steel is one of my favorite bimetals, so to find something that kind of took the steel design and ideology and then upgraded it in a lot of ways to make it more interesting design-wise and philosophically, it's been really nice to play around with this. This thing is a total beast. It plays around 65 grams, which I think is kind of lightish. It's perfect for me. I'm starting to think that 65 is the perfect weight for me. This thing moves really nimbly. Never feels like it's out of control though. Some people complain about yo-yos that are a little bit lighter with a bimetal type design, that they play too fast, but I feel like this plays exactly how it should and exactly how you'd want it to. It lands on the string really, really gracefully. There's no sense of a thud ever. When you throw it out, even with a really hard breakaway, you don't get a sense of a thud at the end of the string. It's just smooth all around. Again, with iYoYo, it's kind of crazy that all their stuff can be this smooth, like barely a hint of nail vibe even. It's just amazing. Their QC is really, really top notch, and you can tell just their machining is excellent. Part of the reason they can get away with the really nimble design but the lighter weight and everything is, as I mentioned, the polycarbonate body here and the stainless steel rims. There's a huge weight differential between the two materials. As you'll probably see in some other videos about the iCEBERG, there's a huge difference in the density of materials, so you're able to put a lot more weight on the outside of the Yoyo, which kind of gives you that bimetal design. But when you have aluminum and stainless steel together, the metals are more similar. When you have polycarbonate plastic, not a Delrin, because the polycarbonate is even lighter, the weight differential is so strong that you're able to push crazy amounts of rim weight. And it fits into a design aesthetic that really works with iYoYo, but at the same time, because of the weight distribution, they're able to change the way this thing feels and plays dramatically. And it sort of reminds me of the steel in a way, because the steel also played really differently than you'd think it would. I feel like it played on the heavy side, even though it is a lighter Yoyo and it's a bimetal. Bimetals usually play a little bit faster and nimbler, but the iYoYo steel felt very deliberate. One thing that's really awesome about the iCEBERG is the grinds. This thing grinds for a really, really long time. And if you know me and you know my channel, you know I love finger grinds. I've gotten some 6 or 7 second grinds out of this thing. It's spectacular. And the really crazy thing about it is not only can you barely feel it grinding on your skin, and there's also no burn, because sometimes I find that polycarbonate yo-yos can kind of burn a little bit when they spin really fast if they're not like brushed or machined properly. But you barely feel it, not just vibe-wise, but you barely even feel it grinding. Like, when I first threw it, I was really surprised when it hit a grind, because I thought, wait, is it spinning? Did it stop? Like, it's just spinning so fast you can barely even feel it. It's really, really awesome. Another thing we should talk about is the finger spins. Obviously, this was designed with finger spins in mind. One thing I really like about this cup is that it is slightly sloped, so your finger is guided in, but it's not a cheat. Like I said, I think that yo-yos that are kind of like a cheat code for finger spins are fine, but I really like yo-yos that can also challenge you a little bit so that you have to bring your own skill to the table, and this is one of the yo-yos that does it. You are going to land in here and it's going to orbit around, and if you don't center it properly, you're going to have a problem landing a finger spin. If you even have a little bit of skill with finger spins, it's not that much of a problem. But it is nice that it doesn't just go boom right into the center. You have to have a little bit of skill to guide it in, and I really, really like that. But I feel like this strikes a perfect balance of making it easy for you to land the finger spin, but also not sacrificing the design of the yo-yo itself. Another thing I really like about this thing is, I'm not sure if this is like playability or what, but I really don't want to take this thing apart, because if you're going to notice, I think it's been tuned perfectly. You're going to notice the little iCEBERG logo here and the one on this side are almost perfectly aligned. You can see if I turn it here, they're almost perfectly aligned, which I think just, I don't know if that's an accidental thing or if that's part of Dave Geigela's design philosophy, that, you know, it should be so tuned perfectly and so quality controlled perfectly that the logos even line up when it's tuned perfectly. Like, it's pretty awesome. I don't know, that was just a small detail that I thought was really neat, to either have the pre-planning or just the quality control to be able to nail a tiny aesthetic little detail like that is pretty cool. All around, I really like the way the thing plays. It's fast, it's maneuverable, it does all your grinds and everything like that. Overall, it just plays extremely well. I don't think I've ever played a hybrid yo-yo that really nailed the bimetal design, and I think surpasses it in a lot of ways, because it keeps the cost down because of the polycarbonate body, but it also just, I think plastic yo-yos are fun, and I think hybrid yo-yos are a lot of fun. I really like bimetals, but I sometimes think that some bimetals can be designed like really seriously, and they're really designed for performance, and watch out, this thing moves 1,000,000 miles an hour. Something about a plastic or a hybrid yo-yo, you can kind of step back and have fun with it. It's really cool that this has the design and the performance aspects of a bimetal, but at the same time, it has the fun, light, enjoyable feel of a plastic. It's just a really, really nice balance. All right, let's get into the pros and the cons of the iYoYo iCEBERG. First of all, the style. Look at this thing. It's so cool looking. Not only do you have these really, really amazingly polished, beautiful, shiny rims, you've got the color match in the center, you've got the logo, which does not interfere with the finger spins at all. It's just got style for days. The shape is really cool. It's a little bit aggressive, but because of the plastic and the way it's machined, it just softens it a little bit. All these little cuts in here are really neat. I love the cup. I love the little logos in here. It's really, really cool. The material is awesome. Obviously, stainless steel is really cool to have on a yo-yo, but then you have the polycarbonate body, which I mentioned I really, really like Delrin plastic, but this kind of changed my feeling a little bit. it kind of made me see that polycarbonate can be just as effective if it's used properly. This thing is really quick. It just moves so fast, probably because it's a bit on the lighter side, but because the weight distribution allows it to move at really fast speeds without sacrificing control. And that's the next point, control. This thing doesn't ever feel like it's out of control. It feels like it's gonna do exactly what you want. Redirections are really easy with this thing. You're able to pop it up easily. In fact, it's become my learning yo-yo. It feels like a bimetal, and like I said, it feels like it surpasses a lot of bimetals, so to be able to do that again with the plastic body is just really cool. Especially to be able to lower the price as well is going to make this a really attractive buy for a lot of people. It finger grinds so beautifully. I should have mentioned this before, but the shape also lends itself to grinds, not just the material itself. Finger spins are really fun on this thing, so like I said, it may take a little bit of work to get in the center, but once you do, it just stays there. No sense of real wobble or anything. And the spin time of this thing is really good as well. It seems to spin on and on even after you've done grinds, long combos, whatever. It just spins forever. It's really amazing. As for cons of the iCEBERG, I really don't have anything bad to say about this. Maybe the only thing I would point out, now in the US, it's actually only about 60 bucks, I think, 60 or 70, somewhere in that range. But in Japan, this was 80, which is quite a lot more. Now, I knew I was gonna love it, and I was really excited to get it for a long time, so that didn't really bother me too much. For what this does, basically achieving a bimetal design with a really inexpensive plastic, but because it's used so perfectly, it's machined so beautifully, which I think you could get this and it could be your one yo-yo. So I think the iCEBERG is for just about anybody. A lot of people have asked me before like how they should get into iYoYo, which iYoYo is the best one to start with. You know, I've got the Steel, the Veritas Pro, and I've got this in their sort of more premium line yo-yos. The Steel is a bit on the pricey side. It's usually over $100, and I think it's a little bit harder to find now. The Veritas Pro is still in my top 3. I absolutely adore that thing, but it's a little bit more specific. It's a little bit undersized, and it's a V-shape. I think that yo-yo totally changed my mind on both of those things. The iYoYo iCEBERG may fit into more of what you expect from a regular competition yo-yo. It's got a very comfortable shape, it has extreme playability, and it may be a little bit easier for people to get into right off the bat. I don't feel like it's as specific as a lot of yo-yos that are coming out now, and it doesn't really sell itself as like a mad competition throw or trying to beat the drop near or anything like that. It's a really good entry point into iYoYo's line, especially if you've got the coin for it. It's definitely worth the purchase. All right, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you liked it. Make sure to leave me a comment. Tell me if you have an iCEBERG. Tell me if you haven't got one yet. Agree, disagree, whatever. Since the iYoYo iCEBERG is based on the Steel, do you want to see me do a time on the two? Don't forget, now I'm partnered with Yo-Yo Store Rewind, so I want to make sure you go over and check out their channel. Make sure you subscribe over there. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos for them, so if you want to see extra content from me, that's the only way you're going to do it. All right, everybody, take care, have a nice day, and sayonara.